To express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. May begin.
Go ahead, sir.
What is the question?
Why should we give you parole?
Well, I've taken accountability 100% for what I've done. It was wrong. I've worked very hard in the programs I've been here. I currently go to school and, I go to AA and stuff. I'm working very hard on my sobriety. My support system with my family is increasingly regained. I just, my first bid I did years ago, I didn't take prison seriously. I got out with the mindset like, oh, I'm going to get out and party this, that, and the third. And I was a kid. I was really naive and really stupid. And, but this bit, I'm older. I'm 30 until I'm 33, and pretty much, I did 15 months out of an 18-month probation sentence, and I almost completed it. I had an incident with a girlfriend. She cheated, and I relapsed, and it caused a series of events to occur after that, where I take accountability for my actions. Like, I did relapse, and it just caused me to go downhill. But now that I got significant clean time, my little brother just recently passed away. He was 20 years old. My other little sister just had a baby a week ago. It's just, I feel it's my time to step up and be the brother that I'm supposed to be, and really step up in my family, prove to everybody I got what it takes to be a productive citizen, more or less.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your statement. We're going to ask you some questions, and then we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today. Okay. We'll begin with my colleague, Mr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Simpson. Let's get a better sense as to why you're incarcerated. You had a burglary, you're on probation for burglary in 2021, right?
I sold a PS4 that was my girlfriend and I at the time, a shared PS4. I sold it without her permission, and she called the police and gave me a burglary third.
Okay, and what happened in October of 2023?
October 2023. I ran from the courthouse. I got scared about doing time because my first bid was very traumatic for me, and it was super traumatic for me. I got beat up and extorted, and I spent a lot of time in segregation and protective custody, more or less. it was just really traumatic for me. So I ran from the courthouse. My girlfriend told me to run straight home. So I ran straight home, and when I got there, I totally blacked out. I think I came to when I later in that day got arrested for, we had a conflict of interest about where I was gonna stay when she got to the house after she left the courthouse too. She came and she's like, Sean, the cops are gonna come. And she like pretty much tried forcibly kicking me out of the house, and I pushed her, hit her a couple times, and then she called me later on in the afternoon and told me where to go. But I was on my way to the location when she had already accidentally, like, she called the police on me. Well, not accidentally. She called the police and forgot she called the police on me. And I went from one location to the next to meet up with her and got caught. They arrested me. I did some time in crisis. I got out of crisis, and then I went back and hid at the place where she told me to hide. I stayed on the run for about a month and a half. I admitted myself to crisis 2 times during that month and a half for addiction reasons and to get my mind right. So I was not in my right mind at the time. I should have just did the time. They only wanted me to do 9 days in jail, followed by reinstatement of probation. And I only had, like I said, I completed 15 months of an 18-month probation sentence, no dirty urines. I did all my mental health programs. I did all my other programs that was required through probation. I was actively finding work and working. So I don't know why I ran that day. That was just really, really, really dumb.
So in that case in 2023, there was a protective order in place already, right?
Yeah, when I got caught by the cops, she was bringing me food every day. Like, you can even ask my mom. She would bring me like water and supplies and food to make sure I could survive, because she was hiding me out at 102 Red Mountain Ave. That was her father's house that went into foreclosure. She was keeping me at this address so that way the cops would find me, more or less. She was coming to see me every day, bringing me food and water, and just making sure I was comfortable while I was hiding out.
Okay, and what happened in January of 2024? There was another burglary, right?
Well, I had already gotten locked up by this time. My addiction had caused me to crack, and then in an old folks home in the staircase, and I really had to use the bathroom. And I knew this guy Greg, and he lived on the 10th floor in 10B apartment. And I broke into his apartment to use the bathroom, and I cooked a DiGiorno pizza that I had brought with me. And then I ate, I did the dishes, and I left. But I broke the doorknob, and apparently, I caught a burglary third for that. But I didn't steal anything. That was not my goal. My goal was just to find a safe haven for a little bit, because I was homeless at the time and on the run from the police. Because of my addiction.
Okay, let's talk about what you've done in the facility. You've taken the DB program, right? What did you learn anything about yourself from that?
I definitely learned a lot about myself, about trauma, about how we carry resentments, and, it's just never good to have conflict of interest. Communication is key, and if something like an argument is going to arise, if you can't talk about it, my best scenario would just be walk away, go on a walk, maybe go call somebody like my sponsor or my mom. Or, my grandmother, she's a big support for me right now, my dad. Ever since I've gotten locked up, I've gotten significantly closer with my family. And that for me is huge, because I really haven't had my family like my whole life. So the fact that they're willing to give me another chance it's my stronghold right now. My dad says if I could get out either on parole or not on parole and get a license and a car he's given me open arms to come back and live in upstate New York with him. For me, that was the best place for me. I never got in trouble when I lived in New York, not even remotely, not even at school. I was a straight A student in elementary and middle school and most of my high school years. But yeah, he's given me an ultimatum to buck up and be a man or stay in Connecticut and, risk relapse or whatever, what may have you. I don't like Connecticut very much. It's people, places, and things tend to get people in trouble, but I just, it's too much. It's too fast paced living down here. I like the country. I like living out in the woods on a farm. I've done a lot of farm work in my life, and
All right, Mr. Sims, I'm going to bring us back to the line of questioning. That's okay.
sorry.
Obviously, you've had some issues with heavy drugs. You would agree with that, right? You were enrolled in Tier 4 in the facility. What happened there?
Somebody had more or less threatened me to get off the phone because I was talking too loud to my mom, who just lost her best friend on the phone. I'm talking in a regular voice about this quiet, and you have to whisper. And I told him to just please leave me alone multiple times, and he took it as a threat, and he told on me. So when I told the superiors, like, yeah, I was talking on the phone in my regular voice because we were going through something on the phone with me and my mom, and she kept telling me, stop whispering, I can't hear you, stop whispering. So when I talked my regular voice, he got mad and told on me, and I got kicked out of the program for not listening, threatening, and like indirectly, they said I indirectly threatened him to leave me alone.
What about all the tickets you've accumulated? Looks like you had 5, and you received 1 earlier this month
Yeah,
for fighting.
yeah.
What was that about?
Well, I've been bullied immensely at this facility. And it took, honestly, 10 years for me to snap, but this fight in particular, he kept calling me a and I am bisexual, which that really shouldn't be nobody's business but my own, but apparently everybody likes to talk about that in a place like this. So he could call me a and he kept saying that he was going to take my commissary every week until I go home, and if I didn't pay up, then he'd whoop my ass. And I said, I'm my dead brother, you're not going to do nothing to me. And then, excuse my language, he said, mother, your dead brother, I'm taking everything you got. And when I heard your dead brother, I just snapped, and I did whoop him. I had to. It was either that or get whooped and get extorted from my commissary. So my mom was actually proud of me because she knows I'm timid and a gentle giant, and she even said that you may have fucked up my parole by doing that, but at least you stood up for your brother, because he just passed away. He's 20 years old, and he got in a street bike accident. He was on the news and everything. July 3rd. Hunter Loomis. He was in a street bike accident in Watertown.
Mr. Simpson, what is your plan to stay sober in the community?
Well, I actively was attending AA every night prior to being on the run. I have a huge support system in AA. The fellowship is like a big thing for me. My sponsor's name is, he's out of Bethlehem. The original plan was to go out on parole and go live with him, but he's having some family issues. I guess his daughter had an accidental overdose, and he's got 34 years sober, and she had like her whole life. So he was unaware of that. So that's what he told me, and said, for the time being, I can't go stay with him, but he's more than willing to be an active role in my life. Like, he's like a mentor and a father figure in a way. He's a really good man. He's like 70 years old. And then I got my grandma Marie, she's like not really my grandma, but she's another older woman that my mom knows that we've called grandma over the years. She's a big part in my sobriety too. She says she'd come pick me up every day if I want, and we'll go work. She's a gardener. She's a master gardener. That's my mom's company now, is the Barefoot Gardener. But she also has a thing on the side where we work together, and she's willing to not only just work with me and help me save my money to buy a car, she's also willing to take me to meetings every day and help me stay sober.
You go to meetings in the facility, AA meetings, NA meetings?
Yeah, I do. Every Thursday, Friday morning, and Monday night.
All right, well, thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Zarko. Mr.
Thank you. So, Mr. Simpson, I read that you like going to treatment, that it's fun for
Yes.
you to go to treatment. Well, why do you do so poorly in treatment? Because you have a number of failures while you're on probation, while you've been in the facility. Why do you think you struggle to finish the programs?
Well, for me, when I was on the street, a lot of that had to do with my girlfriend. Like at the time, I don't do well in relationships. I just need to stay single and work. Like I want my new relationship to be about taking care of Sean and Sean's needs for once. Like I said, I'm 33 years old. I've been very codependent my whole life. And that's one thing I've learned this bit is not to be so codependent and really focus on myself.
Okay, so you don't finish treatment or you struggle with treatment and relapse because of your relationships?
Well, more or less, I'm very like codependent and like, she says, don't go to your appointment, or I'm going to throw a hissy fit. I'm not going to go because then I risk becoming homeless because my girlfriend kicks me out for the night because now I went to my appointment and didn't take care of her needs.
Okay. All right. I don't have, so you're in the MAT program now?
Yes.
So how's that going for you?
Great, but I'm working on getting off the MAT program. Like I've been going down significantly every so many.
Okay. All right. Well, good for you.
I want to
all
get
right.
off.
Have you ever been on the MAT program before?
I have been on it before, but I transitioned from methadone to Suboxone. But I would like to just get off everything finally once and for all.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you. Mr. Simpson, you have a lot of work to do. Do you understand that?
I 100%, I know I do.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I hear a lot of immaturity. I hear a lot of excuses. Stop blaming everybody else. And mention that there was a protective order in place.
I understand. I have a lot of mental health, and I wasn't really there at the time with my addiction with myself.
Well, you can't use drugs. And when you have mental health issues and you're supposed to be taking care of yourself, you can't use drugs, right?
Yes, right.
You have to stick with a relapse prevention plan and a program and treatment to help you. As my colleague mentioned, you haven't followed through. You're still in problem section for an offense from years ago because you can't finish because you keep violating your probation.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I really want to get out on parole because I want to take advantage of what parole has to offer while I'm transitioning back into society. Because I'm afraid if I max out and I don't have that stepping stone of somebody helping me with structure, I will fail.
I understand that, but our decision's based on what you're doing, right? This is all we have to look at. And when you last 2 weeks in the best program DOC has to offer for people with addiction problems, that's a red flag for us. You understand? You lasted 2 weeks in the Tier 4 program, and you're picking up these tickets, fighting. Even your DV program, yeah, you finished it. We got a note from the saying you showed up all the time late for class. When you get convicted of an offense because you beat up your girlfriend and bite her arm, you should be waiting in line for the class to start. Why are you showing up late?
They didn't call it a lot of the times, and I made my best effort to get to the class.
You know what happens when you show up late for work?
You get fired.
Exactly. I
I've been
mean, you
fired quite
can't
a few
just do
times.
whatever you want. You've been fired quite a few times, right? You have to get organized. You have to get it together, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, give us a few minutes to discuss your case, and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision. Where did we say?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Zarkov.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Simpson accumulated quite a number of concerning convictions here.
Yeah, I know.
Including sex 4 when he was younger. He raised high for risk to recidivate. His alcohol and drug score is 5.
Yeah.
He's not taking a tier program. He had that opportunity. He was removed from the program for failure to comply.
I've been trying to get back in for months, but they
All
just
right, so Mr. Simpson, I'm going to ask you not to interrupt us now. Your time is over, okay? We're deliberating amongst ourselves. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize.
All right.
He was on probation at the time of the offense, came up with new charges. And then you factor all the disciplinary tickets that we have here, including one just earlier this month. Don't like the fifth sentence here, but I also don't know that he's going to do grade and supervision given his history. So I'm not going to be in favor of this pressure for all.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, comment?
I do not have Mr. Simpson granted a parole today. I do think he should use the remainder of his time, which isn't much,
Right,
to try and maybe get into tier 2, because I don't think he can finish tier 4.
right.
Continue with the MAP program and the treatment that goes with it. And there are a lot of reentry programs available to Mr. Simpson, whether he's on supervision or not.
Yes.
So
All right. So, I mean, there are so many reasons that we can use, but what would we like to narrow down to? Mr. Zarkov, what are your thoughts?
For institutional adjustment,
Yeah,
not institutional program participation, full performance while community supervision.
I'm fine with those. You good with that?
sure.
In the matter of Sean Simpson, inmate number 395323, I'll move to deny parole for the following reasons. Inadequate program participation, poor institutional adjustment to tickets, and poor performance while on community release. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We couldn't grant you parole, sir, but we wish you the best. Keep working on yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He beats up his girlfriend and he bites her, but his mother says that he's a gentle giant. He's timid. She's proud of him, even though it will affect his parole, that he stood up for her and her brother. I mean, I guess you can see the acorns don't fall far from the tree. And this guy, what a man-child, a chomo man-child. Very scary, this kind of jacket that he has. I'll go over the initial crime that they didn't touch on, that you can't even see. The crazy thing is, even with his crime, because Connecticut, they have this thing where they like to just like remove from someone's jacket what they did more than 10 years ago, which is insane. It's a woke agenda that they have. So you can't even see it when you look up his official prison record. You only can see it in the news. And now we'll make sure that it will forever be in the news what it is that he did to get locked up initially. And it is interesting hearing about, look, and I actually hear what he's saying. I think he was in a tough spot there when the guy is saying, hey, give me your money. And then, you know, so he's going to be he has to be extorted. They know he's got a dirty jacket. He's walking around with a chomo necklace. He thinks he's so clever, but really it's a dead giveaway. It's almost 95 at least % of the time it means you have a dirty jacket. That's the funniest thing. It's like, do they not realize that walking around, they might as well hold a sign that says, my jacket is dirty, come extort me and take my commissary money. I mean, he really doesn't need the commissary money. It looks like he can use a little bit without it. It might be a little healthier for him, but that's what's going to happen when you're kind of coming up for parole. Anyways, he didn't, I mean, I've seen plenty of, like 23-1 or some other channels where they'll talk about this stuff, but he could have just ignored him. If you get hit, you fight back, but don't get, I wonder what the outcome of that fight was. I am curious. It's like I almost want to give him credit for throwing down because he's not picking on just, women and children. But I don't know. I wonder what happens. Anyways, let me go over the what's his good time date? Some of you might be wondering. His good time date is March 11, 2026. So he's getting out, not good time, his full term date. He's getting out anyways in just 4 months or so. An 18-year-old man has been charged with this for 2 students and another female. So three victims. So, what was it? He had a moderate to low risk score. Among the evidence collected against the suspect, Sean Simpson, are videos of him. Videos. They have video evidence. To perform according to an arrest warrant. Simpson was arraigned Monday to Superior Court. He is charged with 3 counts of first-degree evidence.
May 2023. You focus on why you believe you deserve.
Arrests and convictions, but given chance after chance, probation after probation, it makes no sense. I'll go over his record at the end of the hearing. For now, let's jump in.
Joshua Gervati, 400768.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Joshua Gervati, inmate number 400768. He's serving a sentence of 30 months jail with 2 years of special parole followed from criminal possession of a firearm, reckless endangerment, and possession with intent. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date, July 27th, 2025. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the domestic violence program in Tier 1. Utilizing a statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yes, I prepared something. Mind if I read it?
Please go ahead.
Sorry, it would be a bit lengthy, but I took my time.
Okay, we're going to ask you to focus on why you believe you deserve parole because we still have half of a docket ahead of us. So when you
Yes.
say lengthy, please focus in on why you deserve parole.
Yes. Okay, so I just start reading. When answering this question, this is my life for deciding to get back to me. Some people might not care about a release, but I do. And every day, when I'm not working, I sit in my cell for the remainder of the day and I separate myself from the crowd's inmates I choose to surround myself with. But no longer is that man me. Although I have no children, I do have family, and this family I've let down too many times. Again, I look around and I walk to the hot water dispenser to get hot water and coffee or food for the day, and I see people at rec laughing and playing games, muttering about how they did this so they could get some type of street credit. But these are the things that are burning images and phrases into my mind and my heart and my soul. I don't know if it's maturity or if it's common sense finally working. I'm so disappointed in myself for allowing this category of people to become the entitled person I am. This is far from the person I am, it's far from the person I want to be. I know not only do I have this self-disappointment, but the amount of disappointment I brought to my family and loved ones do not believe. My nephews and my one beautiful niece is so young, and it broke my heart when I just missed their high school graduation. I help raise these children, so I help raise these children that hold a cold place in my heart. My brother and my 2 sisters are raised by my very strong mother by herself, who is a domestic violence survivor. And because of that, my father spent my whole childhood incarcerated. With it being said, we only had each other and my mother. If my mother was not at school, she was working, and my sister and And when my siblings had children, we really counted on each other to be there, which led me to have a close bond with the kids. I'm telling you this because I want you to know that even though I don't have children of my own, I love these kids like they're my own, giving me a responsibility. I know for a fact I never want them to put me in this category of people I surround myself with right now, being incarcerated. I want them to see a positive role model and to be able to look up to me and to be able to count on me to be there for them through all of their struggles and triumphs. I have put too much disappointment into their lives these times I've been away from them for all the wrong reasons. I sit in my cell and stay away from associating with too many people while I am in here because I think long and hard by myself about how my life will be different and how I will stay away from wrongdoings that are so much drowning the world as we know of it. I vow to myself and I vow to not only state, but most of all, in my eyes, the children in my life, to lead them to not become a part of the wrongdoings around the world, but to make sure they see me as a person who the world a better place, who makes the world a better place one person at a time, so they can become one of the people who help change the world's wrongdoings one person at a time. Continue to be this change man when I'm released is my number one priority because I cannot help myself. If I cannot help myself, I cannot help anyone else. The next step after waking up to do the right thing for myself is to stay the most positive and focused influence in these kids' lives. When I'm granted parole, this process only starts a little sooner for me. I know no matter what, this mentality I have is in my head for the rest of my life, not only for these children of my siblings, but that goes for everyone in this world who sees me as an individual person. I refuse to be a negative influence in this world. I want people to see me and say, he is a good man. I know that being imperfect is close to impossible, but being perfect is not who I want to be. I want to just be right. A right person is a good person. Every day I wake up, I choose to do the right thing. Then incarceration is no longer even a worry of mine. But most of all, my nephews and my niece, they are safe around, they can be safely around me and they can count on me being there, which being there is so important in life. I want everyone in life to be able to count on me being there and doing the right thing for the rest of our lives. Upon my early release, being there for my nephews and my nieces is a major priority in my life, as well as my new additions to my family. My significant other, she is a major priority, but also a huge responsibility in my life. I plan on marrying her and someday having children of my own. This being said, my sponsor is her mother. Her mother has another younger daughter whose name is Raina Snow. And Raina is very important to my lady. It's important to my lady as she is her only sister. I say this because I take a great deal of responsibility and making sure she sees me as a good person, as well as an awesome male role model, with me being the only direct male figure in her life. I plan to help Raina with schooling as I promised her, as well as helping to be there for her social life. Raina and I have many plans together when I am released, as we speak about over the phone. She has told me she is excited, so I take that very seriously. Just as serious as I take my nephews and my niece. I want the state to see how serious I am about doing the right thing upon my release, not only because as an individual, I want to do the right thing, but also because the amount of young children who will be in my life counting on me to do the right thing while I'm being there for them. I want the state to know that this is how I'm spending my free time when I'm not at work this is how I'm spending my free time when I'm not at work, but for work, I'm going to work the very next day and I'm time we speak on the phone. And if it's not about work, then it's about the kids. My brother is the most positive influence in my life, and he has always been there, been my role model, and I'm so proud to be able to look up to such a great person who has worked his whole life and stayed strong even when he lost his son's mother. He really showed me and has continued to show me strength when things get rough. He not only stayed strong for his son, but then recently moved my mother in and showed me that hard work and doing the right thing really pays off. I know they're seeing how he is now happily married and owns his own business. I could go on for days about him, but all he has done. But my point I want to get across is that me being around my brother, working with him, is only going to inspire me to be a great man right alongside of him. When I accomplish half the amount of good deeds and when I make half the amount of right things right he has done, I will be happy knowing that I'm on my way to becoming a great man as well. Upon my early release, I am also going to give back to the community by doing volunteer work and community service. I want to repay the world for all my wrongdoings. Helping people is one thing I will continue to do for the rest of my life. I'm also going to volunteer at animal shelters and soon work towards opening my own rescue. I do not want to see life suffer. So as I continue to work, I am going to be working towards opening my own apple orchard / farm and going to have a rescue / shelter on the property. Percentages of the proceeds will be donated to nonprofits and given back to the community. I have a lot of plans and goals that are long term, but everything I've told you about family and work is my immediate goals and plans. I aspire to be a great person, and that means doing the right thing never stops. I regret my criminal history more than words can explain, but I hope these words I speak to you today tell you enough to know that I know change is not out of reach. And with all being said, if I could go back in time, and I would have stuck by my brother and worked beside him a lot sooner, and I would have never made these mistakes in my life I have to face today. I know my future is very bright, and I cannot tell you in words how ready I am to start my journey of doing the right thing and being there for my family. Although I will show you how serious I am when I succeed on this early release, and I do all the right things by preparing every intention before I choose to take a single step. I would like to thank you, State, for allowing me to speak on my own behalf, and I thank you all for taking the time to hear all that I have said. Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you, sir. We're going to ask you questions. We'll begin with my colleague, Mr. Zarkov.
Good morning, Mr. Gervais.
Good morning.
Can you explain what happened that led to your incarceration?
So that night was very much a blur because of the 2 days prior that I was in the hospital in a coma. I was in a medically induced coma, and that night that I was woken up from the coma, the doctor told me that told my brother that they're just going to release me without evaluating me because I wanted to leave, and I didn't, I was out of control, I guess, in the hospital. He didn't want to deal with me, so I guess they just had let me out without evaluating me, and I was still under the influence of their sedatives and their whatever they gave me, tranquilizers and sedatives to stay into a medically induced coma. So without the evaluation, they had released me. So me being under the influence, it was hard for me to recall any of the events that happened that night. I was told by my brother and other people after I was already incarcerated over the phone, because I don't remember really any of it. It's all a blackout. But I guess after I was released, I had, somehow ended up back. I guess my brother dropped me off at the building, and then hours later, I ended up back at, the building where my girlfriend was staying, and this all happened. So I'm going off of what the police report said and what they're saying happened. I really don't recall what happened that night because of the amount of drugs I was under the influence that I was because of the hospital. And
let me ask you, did you take any illegal drugs after you discharged from the hospital?
Did I?
Did you take any illegal drugs?
I know I had the drugs when I was caught, so I'm assuming I did. I couldn't recall. I couldn't tell you what happened after the hospital. I don't remember anything until I woke up in jail, and that was all. Everything was just
okay. Okay. What about the gun?
I don't remember any of it, sir.
Was the gun yours?
I don't recall it being mine. I must have got it that night. So I'm not saying that it was mine. Like, I must have bought it or got it from somebody that night. I'm not saying that I definitely didn't have it before I was in the hospital. But after I got out of the hospital, I ended up getting it. So, I take full responsibility and accountability for everything that happened. although I don't recall a majority of it.
You don't remember having a gun, getting a gun?
I do not remember anything that happened at the hospital until I woke up in jail. I do not, sir.
This was not your first gun conviction, right?
No, it is not, sir. That's why I'm telling you I take accountability for it, although this, I just don't remember it. Like,
Understand. You have a drug and alcohol level score of 5, right? That's the highest possible. Why do you think that is?
because I used to have an opioid addiction, and I since then have received help and been taking medication. I've been receiving Suboxone and staying clean, and I was clean for a long period of time before before the hospital incident happened. Before I ended up having a seizure and going into a coma, I was actually being evaluated by my doctor and going to CHC and doing all the proper classes and drug tests and screens and all of that with CHC out of Enfield.
What is your longest period of sobriety in the community?
It was approximately 2 years, 18 months to 2 years before this incident happened. It was the longest I had been clean. I was doing very well.
So it's
I don't remember the exact amount of time, but it was around that amount of time, yes.
for 2022 until you were arrested?
Basically.
You have 3 tickets during this period of incarceration, right?
Yes, the first month that I was in county jail, I received those tickets. Yes, sir.
Okay, one was for fighting.
Yep. I guess the first day, this one I do not recall at all. The fight that I was involved in, I was, I guess this is when I first started remembering things, when I had waken up in the segregation. I asked him what happened. I guess the very first night I got there, I had gotten into a verbal argument that turned into an altercation, physical altercation, and then they ended up putting me into segregation, where I had finally came to, and then I was wondering what happened. And yeah, that's what happened for the fighting ticket.
Okay, what about the June of 24 ticket for contraband?
So the contraband, so there was guys, they were over there, I think they were smoking tobacco or weed, and they were in my cubicle area. There was multiple guys that had went to SEG. I specifically, they told me that I could get away with the ticket, or not get a ticket and go to SEG, but they told me I had to tell on the person who was doing it. And at that time, I felt like, you know, I just didn't want to put anybody under, you know, I basically didn't want to tell anybody and take. So I told him, I said, you could, you know what I mean, you could test me. I'm not the one who's doing it, but it was in my cubicle. I had nothing. I couldn't go. There was nothing else I could do unless I pinpointed one person and spoke his name and said it was him. So I ended up going to SEG for it.
Okay, you come to a tier 2 facility? What did you get from that? Tier 1, sorry. Yep.
Yes, sir.
What did you get from that?
I got coping skills. Basically, it was a lot to do with addiction services, like recovery, as in I learned how to cope with basically my addiction. You know, meditation, going to see counselors, which I never really thought about doing, because I never really thought about speaking to people, but I actually met with a lot of good counselors in the jail, and they are actually linked with a lot of closer counselors, like through CHR out in the world, in the street, as they call it. So I would actually be able to speak with some of the counselors like that too, who are similar to them. So I learned like that actually really helps as well. And and also attending meetings too. You know, it helps. You know, coping skills. And avoiding triggers too. Not really avoiding triggers, but when I get triggers, learning how to avoid them. Just doing like being smart and thinking about like not surrounding myself with certain people, certain places, certain things. And if I do, then I revert back to my coping skills and attend a meeting or talk to a counselor or do some type of self meditation or breathing or some type of coping skill. And I have all this other paperwork too that I plan on bringing home with me and keeping in my personal belongings, so that way if I ever needed to look back on it, I could always go back to it and look into it.
Okay, so have you figured out what your triggers are?
Yeah, a lot of just being around a lot of the people that I grew up with, those were big triggers for me, because I didn't grow up in the best neighborhood. So just being around a lot of my older friends and associates, they their mindset about the right and wrong doings in life. And so how you act around a child or of any age is very serious, and no matter if they're in the room or if they just hear it. So me having a lot of children in my life, knowing that, I'm super precautious of how I act with my peers and how if anybody acts around the children. That was one of the major things I took from that class experience.
All right, do you have a job in the facility?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Are you working in the facility?
Yes, sir, I've been working. And I not only was I working, since I think a month after I got here, I've been working ever since. And when I was even in county jail, when I was, as soon as my ticket cleared, I went to work as a tierman in a tray server, and I held that job until I left county, and I was doing that for over a year. I would say almost a year-ish. And then when I got here, I applied for the maintenance job right away because I have background skills with working hands-on tools. And when I was interviewed, they gave me the job right away because I knew a lot of hands-on tools that they use here, and it's been helping me learn. So it's a great job for me because now I know a lot of new things that I can apply to work as soon as I get out, which is great.
Okay, you already spoke about your plans for employment. You have some ambitious plans when you're released. What about your relapse prevention plan?
I plan on going straight to the doctor that I was seeing before, because I'm currently still taking my prescription. So I know that when I go back to my doctor, I go back to the counseling, I can resume therapy and help with THC, and that will help in my relapse prevention. But I plan on seeing them, if not the same day, as long as they're still open when I get out, then the very next day I plan on seeing my doctor, because me and him had a very strong relationship, and he was a good doctor for me.
How would you say you've changed from this incarceration?
How would I say it's changed?
Yeah.
I think that I've changed dramatically, just mentally, period. I have a whole new mindset. Just seeing certain things and hearing certain things that people do and say, it turns me off. It makes me really look on my life and have a new aspect, like how much different I can be, how much different I should have already been, and just the negative things that go around it. It's just so not interesting, and I just really wish that I got into working with my brother sooner and started doing that, I would have had to deal with a lot of things I've done. And it's just me knowing that feeling is inside of me, then I know that it changed me completely. Like, it could have been maturity, it could be just being around all and seeing the negative stuff going on at all the time and really taking a positive outlook on it because of being sober while I'm here so much and seeing all the negative while I'm here. I think it's changed my outlook on life dramatically, and it makes me want to just go home and do the right thing. And I didn't see that. I haven't seen that. I've never really seen that clear before.
Okay, well, thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure, Ms. Berry.
I don't have any questions for Mr. Gerald.
I don't either. So we're going to move to discussion. Please don't interrupt. Mr. Zarkoff?
So Mr. Gerardi rates moderate for risk of recidivism. Is here on 3 convictions: criminal possession of firearm, reckless endangerment, possession of intent to sell. He has completed a couple of programs: Tier 1, domestic violence program. He does have some tickets. But there has been some time since the last one. Received it in June of last year. I would have liked to see a high-level tier program, but that's what he's eligible to do. He'll make a sentence in June of this year. Up to it. Yeah, what other panel members think? Applying to support the discussion as well.
Okay, well, so this is an offender with, a 10-year criminal history, 9 arrests, prior gun conviction. He struggled when he was on special parole in the past. We make these decisions in interest in the light of public safety and the situation he found himself in, despite his lack of recall, was incredibly concerning. SWAT team was called out. He pointed a gun at his brother. And then they recovered an unsecured firearm in his home in the closet on the floor, putting in jeopardy the 11-year-old child living in that home. He has 2 years of special parole. He will be end of sentence in less than a year. So I have him denied. It's just far too serious. Ms. Berry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with you. This is a very serious offense, and when they assign you a tier 1, it's usually when you're waiting to be sentenced. And his score is a 5. There's no way that that's acceptable in terms of treatment for such a serious substance problem. He was on probation when all of this transpired. You couple the nature with his.
Sorry, I wasn't on probation when it happened.
It said that you were on probation for interfering with and resisting arrest.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't on any probation.
Well, according to our records, violated. Okay. Well,
In May of 2023, you got 2 counts of violation of probation, interfering and resisting, possession of a controlled substance. You got 18-month period of probation in May of 2023, and you committed this crime in May of 2024.
And I was released for good behavior off of probation.
We do not have that. Okay,
That's what happened.
continue, please. Please
I
stop
wouldn't lie about
interrupting.
that.
Please stop interrupting.
so at any rate, you couple the lack of treatment that I would have liked to see with the nature of this offense and his poor performance. That one aside, even if we don't include that one, I still show
3 failed attempts. So I would not be in support of his early release today.
We heard an awful lot of words from Mr. Giovaci today, but I don't have a lot of confidence in the change that he spoke of. I'm glad to see his behavior is improving at the facility, but the underlying issues are just far too concerning.
What I really took from it was as well, Madam Chair, since we are deliberating, I was an addict. I used to be. And with the drugstore of 5, it was just
7 year
and with the
heroin addiction.
Yeah, I just don't think that those are words that we should be using. But
And we aren't sure, based on your questioning, whether he was intoxicated at the time. That contributed to his total lack of recall for this very, very serious situation. This was an apartment, 3-story apartment building, and other people were definitely in jeopardy. So nature and circumstance, criminal history, and poor performance on community release. Throw in inadequate program participation.
I absolutely won't.
Okay. And where are you?
I would have supported a confession discussion or at least
Okay.
without that with decision.
All right. In the matter of Joshua Juvovaci, inmate number 400768, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: your criminal history, the nature and circumstance of your offense, your poor performance on community release, and your inadequate program participation. Do I have a second?
I did all my programs and I did an additional program. I did all my programs and an additional one. How is that
All in
inadequate?
favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Parole is denied. Then we need to set his conditions for his 2 years of special parole. What do you have? Is there?
Domestic violence.
Do you have anything else? Okay.
I'm not gonna have a domestic violence case. This is a non-domestic violent case. I did that from willingly. I did that
I'm
extra
going to
program.
further move to set the
The
following
judge made this a
condition for
non-DPA
Mr.
case. How does that even have
Juvovaci.
anything to do with domestic violence?
Special parole supervision, behavior management for domestic violence. Do I have a second? Oh, we don't vote. Okay. So, Officer Menard?
This concludes the hearing for Joshua Juravari, inmate number 400768.
And so can we take a 5-minute?
Yes, I do use the bathroom. And I need my ears to stop ringing.
Sir, you're all set.
Thank you, sir. You two women have a lot to work on. God bless your soul.
Okay. Did you hear? She said my ears are burning. I think all of our ears are burning. It's like nails on a chalkboard listening to him. Really, it was. And, it's good that they denied him. But again, this calls out, I forgot to put my lights on. This calls out the insanity of the agenda-driven district attorneys and judges. Let me give you a brief overview just so you can see how insane this is. Look, he's getting out no matter what. October 27, 2026. He's getting out in less than a year regardless to go back onto the streets. This is a convicted felon who assaulted a cop again. It's not his first time. And with possession of a firearm, they could lock him up just for the felon with the firearm for 5 years. Forget all of the time that he's backing. That's the insanity about this. I'm going to do a screen share. It's not pretty. And so it's just the problem that the way that they show the records, but it's going to be the best we're going to have to be able to get away with right here. And what you see in red this is what they are sentenced. And keep in mind, Connecticut only shares 10 years of records. This is not all his records. And these are after plea deals. These are not his arrests. These are not his, right? So it's even hard to, because they jump around with the dates. But let's see. Let's go. So 2016 is the last known date that we have. It's reckless driving. Because again, they only get back 10 years. He got unconditional discharge, so there's nothing there. Or whatever, it's reckless driving. Who knows? He has, these are 2022. So 2019, failure to appear second degree, unconditional discharge, right? 8/25, 2019, so this would have been a few months before this, interference with an officer, 120 days jail. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know if he served it or not. 1/14/2021, assault third degree. What's his sentence? Unconditional discharge. 2/18/2021, another interference with an officer. And these are plea deals. Interference with an officer, it could be so many things. Sentence 11 months jail, all suspended. Probation 2 years. So this is somebody who's already has a loaded jacket and they're giving a suspended sentence. Why? 5/15/2024, criminal possession of a firearm. 30 months jail, special parole 2 years. That's this sentence. 5/29/2025, so the same sentencing date. No, 5/14. This is a day before this. The same day. It's 5/15/2024. Reckless endangerment. 1 year in jail. Possession of narcotics. This is 5/15/2024. 30 months jail. I guess those are redundant. 6/13/2022. Interference with an officer. Suspended. Okay, I don't know if we went through this already. It's so confusing, and it's just, for me, it blows up my brain because of the way they do it. But I think they kind of do this on purpose, because you have the date it happened, and you have the sentencing dates, and they like to pile it all in and whatnot. But again, I think that the main takeaway, let's not get confused by this unpacking, is that a hardened felon with a long record, with a jacket loaded with crimes. Like I said, this is one where they had the SWAT team called. This has nothing to do with the initial crime that we read about where he attacked a cop with a knife or something. Here, he points a gun at his brother. The SWAT team's called, and they still only give him that little baby sentence that he's serving now versus all the time that he's back. And it's like, it doesn't benefit anybody. It doesn't benefit him. He's going to end up killing someone, and probably we'll see him do some interview in 10 years where he says, they never gave me a long enough sentence. My brain wasn't mature. I needed to more time in programs. I see this all the time with other, felons that end up finding themselves with like a 50-year life sentence, and they'll blame it on the judge. They'll blame it on the DA. They said, I should have been given a proper amount of time when I was younger. And this agenda-driven mentality, it doesn't benefit the community. It doesn't benefit him. It benefits nobody. And regardless of this, he will be getting out very soon.
And I can't think of a bigger risk to public safety than a DUI. And here you are with two of them, and you crashed into a vehicle that struck a officer at the scene.
We start with some developing news for you right now at 5. A Stonington police sergeant is recovering in the hospital after he was hurt on the job.
And this is
in Rhode Island. Just a few hours ago, the road here on 184 reopened after state police spent the better part of the day trying to piece together what happened. Just after 11 this morning, Stonington police say one of their sergeants was standing in front of his cruiser when it was hit by a red convertible. The cruiser was pushed forward, hitting that sergeant, sending him to the hospital in a Lifestar helicopter.
Now, he was driving intoxicated on a suspended license when he blew through a red light, slammed into the car, and had to have this police officer helivac And who knows how much he suffered since then. Now, less than 2 years later, he is up for parole. Frankly, I'm just shocked. I thought that maybe the agenda-driven DAs and judges would at the very least, help protect those in blue that put their lives on the line to protect others. But no, this repeat offender is up for parole already. It's shocking, but it's Connecticut. And anyways, let's jump in.
Dave McCracken, 355-773.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for David McCracken, petition number 355-773. He is serving a sentence of 6 years, execution suspended after 3 years jail with 4 days, 3 years and 4 days, and 5 years of probation. For assault second with a motor vehicle while intoxicated, 2 counts of illegal operation of motor vehicle under the influence. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of October 4th, 2025. There's no
And driving. It was really bad choices on my behalf, but I can't take that back now. I'm just trying to go forward and do everything right, make great steps.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Moore, you have something else to say?
No, that's okay.
Okay, so Mr. McCracken will each be asking questions of you in order to make our decision as to whether or not you're suitable to go out early on discretionary parole to complete your sentence. We make these decisions in light of the interests of public safety. And I can't think of a bigger risk to public safety than a DUI. And here you are with 2 of them, and you crashed into a vehicle that struck a officer at the scene.
Yes.
So I'm not really sure that this was an accident. It was a crash, but you made the choice to get behind the wheel after drinking. You had a couple of shots at 9 in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you consume marijuana on a daily basis. So
yes.
That was in your system as well. So that's incredibly concerning. You have DUIs in your past as well, 2010, 2012. And I read when you met with Officer Menard that you realized you had a problem with alcohol after your 3rd DUI in 2012. Is that correct?
I had a problem with alcohol after my divorce. And I really couldn't handle it, and I went the wrong way. After my 3rd DUI, I didn't get a license for like 5 years, and I'm a mechanic. So I had to ask people to drive my cars after finishing my cars. So that's one good thing that I did, because I could have drove myself. I'm not really that way. I don't think I got my jail number till I was 36 years old, 35 years old. So I'm not a thief. I'm a trusted guy. I'm sorry, I can't think.
Take your time.
Thank you. When I went to court, my lawyer asked me to get some notes for the judge, and I got 8 or 9 of them, and they said, "What do you want me to say?" I said, "Well, say how I treated you, because I don't have an angry friend in my life that I know. Everybody loves me. I fix their guitar. I fix their cars. I play guitar. I teach their kids to play guitars. I'm sorry. Because of my stroke, I stutter and
You're doing fine,
whatever.
sir.
Thank you. I went to Pond House in 2014. And I went to my brother Mike's house, and I had 5 years sober at my brother Mike's house. Then I got a girlfriend, and I did 2 years sober with her, so that was 7 years sober. And I met my girlfriend in high school. So,
Okay, I'm going to stop you, Mr. McCracken, because
Yep.
we've read a lot of this background, and
Okay.
and we're getting pretty far afield here. I get that
Okay.
you suffered some losses that may have contributed to your relapse.
Yep.
But we can't overlook the fact that when you drank to excess, you chose to get behind the wheel. And, we're not talking about a little bit over the blood alcohol limit. You blew right past it. You had a 0.24 at 11:15 in the morning when you struck the sergeant. You had a blood alcohol at 8 p.m. Of a 0.177. I mean, this is incredibly concerning. So you're incarcerated now with a drug and alcohol score of 4. And you've taken anger management. Congratulations, you got an excellent evaluation on that. You've taken the Voices program. I hope that helps you appreciate what people suffer when you and others like you make the choice to drink and drive. And you still have an addiction services program on your OAP that I hope you will complete before you go back out into the community. You have 5 years of probation, but I couldn't possibly find you suitable without it.
I didn't know I had the addiction services. It wasn't on my OEP.
It is, in fact, it is, sir, an OAP dated 7/10/2024. Ms. Berry, any questions for Mr. McCracken?
I don't.
Okay, Mr. Zarkoff? Okay, all right, so we're gonna discuss. We did receive a lovely support letter from his brother, and he's lucky to have that help in his life.
Yep.
I think one of the saddest things I read in Mr. McCracken's story is 2 of his 3 children also have DUIs. And he, readily admitted he crashed a lot of cars. So this is just too much for me. I had him denied for criminal history. We're talking among ourselves because we're done with the question.
Okay, because I thought you were talking to me.
Criminal history, nature and circumstance, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender chain.
I have criminal history, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender chain. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have 3 of the 4 that you had said, so the 4th is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just serious.
It's way too serious. And that he only got 3 years and 4 days. It's kind of remarkable. The officer suffered burns, a broken hip, and a shoulder injury. In the matter of David McCracken, inmate number 355773, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: your criminal history, the nature and circumstance of your current offenses, your inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Parole is denied.
This concludes the hearing for David McCracken, inmate 355,
I did a alcohol class before I went to jail on
That's
Church
great.
Street. Okay, thank you.
How quickly did they deny? And I just want to point this out for all of those who are watching. This is proof. This is proof that the parole board can deny someone, because whenever they say, well, we want to give the chomo, some supervision on the outside, or what more can they do inside a prison? Here's proof they can do it. They can do it in these cases.